Welcome to the GCN Show.
Yeah, this week, before we get going, we thought we'd give you a little bit of insider information. This is our commute to work.
Every week.
Every week.
It's lovely though, isn't it?
It is good, actually.
I'll give you a glimpse.
Except in the rain and the snow, then it's...
No. Your hair's looking great though, today's side.
Thanks.
For the altitude.
Yeah. All right, mate.
Here we are again.
Tell you what, mate, you can never get tired of this view, can you?
You can't. I mean, what's not to like? It's absolutely stunning. Each and every week. I think I like it even more.
Yeah.
Should we go and do the show?
Should you stand there for a bit longer?
Yeah, I agree.
Should we go to the show now?
Yeah.
From Medicine Lake, Jasper, Alberta, welcome to the GCN Show.
From the beautiful mountains of Colombia,
welcome to the GCN Show!
Welcome to the GCN Show. Ventoux al GCN Show.
Since filming this week's GCN show, MotoGP star Nicky Hayden tragically passed away as a result of injuries sustained through a cycling accident. He was world champion in 2006 and successfully combined his passion for cycling with a career as one of the world's best motorbike racers, and our thoughts are obviously with his family and friends at this difficult time. Now, we had intended to lead this week's GCN show with a story about the health benefits of cycling, but in light of recent events, we felt that it just wasn't appropriate to do so. Now, understandably, many of us are becoming increasingly upset at the seeming number of accidents involving fellow cyclists at the moment. But I am conscious that tragedy can lie around every corner, whether we're riding our bikes or not. And it might feel like we're safer driving our cars, but that's not really the case. According to a study published in the British Medical Journal just the other month that followed 250,000 people over a 5-year period, people who cycle to work are actually 40% less likely to die early than those people who drove to work. Now, it's small consolation, perhaps. We would, of course, like to know what you think about this. Do you feel safe out on the roads? And if not, what can we actually do to try, as a community, to resolve this situation? Make sure you let us know in the comments section down below. We will now carry on with the rest of the GCN show as planned, but when it's finished, I think we should all do two things: join our local cycling advocacy groups and ride our bikes.
Now, as we head into the final brutal week of this year's Giro d'Italia, it's Team Sunweb's Tom Dumoulin who has a quite commanding lead of 2 minutes and 47 seconds over Nairo Quintana. Now, we kind of expected the Flying Dutchman to take the Maglia Rosa in the Stage 10 individual time trial, which of course he won, but not by the margin that he did.
No.
He actually stuck 2 minutes 57 seconds into Nairo Quintana.
That's remarkable, that gap, isn't it? Absolutely remarkable. The following day, it was Dimension Data's Omar Freire who won from a breakaway, and then it was the last two opportunities for the sprinters to flex their muscles in this Giro d'Italia. And it's Grand Tour debutant, Fernando Gaviria, the sprint sensation from Quick Step Floors, who took both of those stages. Quite a remarkable debut in a Grand Tour, given that he's now got 4 stage wins to his credit.
He is an absolute sensation, but I think when you look at both of those stages, it was stage 13 that, for me and many spectators and observers, was the most impressive. The finish to Tortona. With 400 metres to go, it looked like Gaviria was completely out of the mix. He was way back, but somehow found the pace and the space to just outpace Sam Bennett on the line and to take his 4th win, and that makes him the most successful Colombian cyclist in terms of stage wins in the Giro d'Italia.
Is that right?
Yeah, and it also led former teammate Mark Cavendish, who was there at the finish as well, to tweet this.
Hey, that's quite cool.
It is.
Not only because he's saying, well done, but also because it implies that he is going to be at the Tour de France this summer, when actually that was in doubt, given his mononucleosis.
Yeah, well, I really hope so. Cav was riding his bike. He is riding his bike, and he's thankful for that. But yeah, it'd be great to see him at the Tour, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Right, back to the Giro, and stage 14 was to the iconic hillside finish at Europa. And rather than go on the defensive, Dumoulin actually, in his first real test as leader of the Giro, went on the offensive. Remarkably, he rode Nairo Quintana down, so he chased him down single-handedly before then counter-attacking within sight of the line, sticking 14 seconds to him. That was a body blow for Quintana, I would have thought. It was on a really tough climb.
Yeah, it's not something that I think Quintana expected, and Dumoulin looked absolutely delighted across the line. But I think what is even more impressive when you put Dumoulin's ride into perspective with the fact he was only 30 seconds off the record time for the climb of Europa, set by none other than Marco Pantani.
Wow.
And actually, our friends at Velon have kindly supplied us with this set of very interesting stats in relation to Dumoulin's power on the climb.
Yeah, when you look at those, although it's big numbers, actually when you look at them from the times that he's doing them, that's not remarkable. So I would imagine, from watching the stage as well, that he was probably averaging those for the whole climb, wasn't he? He must have been doing, 440-ish watts?
Yeah, I mean, we know he's capable.
Big numbers.
Well, he know he's capable of producing those numbers. He was really looked after very well by his team to the base of the climb, and had one thing in mind, that was to ride his own race. But I think many people have accused Dumoulin of riding in a robotic kind of style, which he did, but then he had the panache, the verve, and the bravery to then attack Quintana as well.
Yeah.
So he's a far more multifaceted rider than I think people let on. But
he's not a robot, he's a sensible rider.
He's sensible, but the final week is going to be very difficult for him, I think. But we shall see. Lots of half stages.
15 climbs to come and 3 summit finishes. So yeah, it's going to be a different ball game.
It certainly is.
It's competition time now on the GCN show, and it's a special one this week. You may well have seen the very limited edition Physique R1B Climb Edition shoes that have been rocked out at the Giro d'Italia, and indeed they've been rocked out in Alta Badia this week, haven't we?
Well, you've been looking pretty good in those shoes.
Thanks, mate. I've been feeling good in those shoes. Those shoes make me feel good.
Noticed.
Anyway, despite being in super limited edition numbers, Physique are being kind enough to actually give away a pair of those shoes. That's right, and not only a pair of those shoes, but also first prize gets a Physique saddle and some pink Physique bar tape as well to complete the Giro d'Italia themed package.
It doesn't end there though, Si.
No.
There's a podium of prizes, because second place gets a pair of regular R1B shoes, a saddle and some bar tape.
Whoa.
And third place is a pair of R&B shoes and some bar tape.
Wow, R&B shoes.
Did I say R&B?
R&B shoes, those are even cooler.
R&B shoes.
To enter the competition, by the way, because we must tell you how to do that, click on the link in the description below and you get straight through to the competition where you can win some Physique shoes and some R&B shoes as well.
Maybe they'll make some R&B shoes for me after this.
What would they look like?
I don't know, just funky.
It's now time for cycling shorts.
Well, let's start cycling short this week with this from the Giro d'Italia, where Team Sunweb's Simon Geschke was left behind.
Really?
Yeah, he was left behind, but not by the race, by his team bus. They basically went to the start in Forlì on stage 12 and left him behind. So he was sat on the side of the road and had to resort to Twitter to try and get a lift to the start.
Yeah, he's looking quite cool with his beard at least.
He always looks cool though, Geschke, doesn't he?
And we all admire the beard as well.
Thank you.
Right, anyway, the other World Tour race that's going on last week, Tour of California, it was actually an ex-pro making some of the headlines. Phil, the Cookie Monster Gaiman, was actually on hand on the stage of Pasadena with a load of fans to hand cookies up to the peloton. And among the riders that dipped their hands in the cookie jar, actually Peter Sagan, world champion, took one whilst doing, as you do when you're Sagan, a one-handed / sometimes no-handed wheelie.
He loves it, doesn't he?
He does love it. Actually, he was prompted by the fans to take to Twitter and say how he thinks that cycling shouldn't be too serious, and he loves Ambion Tour of California because the fans are great.
Couldn't agree more. Now, sticking with the Tour of California for a moment, a nasty crash involving Cannondale Drapac's Tom Scoynes caused a social media frenzy. Now, it wasn't actually in relation to the crash itself, which was bad enough. It was the subsequent TV footage, which showed Tom Scoynes get up, remount his bike, crash again, stagger around the road, clearly almost punch drunk, walk into the centre of the road, and somehow, by the grace of God, missing the peloton that it almost took him out, then remounted and rode off. Now, luckily and thankfully, Jonathan Wouters managed to get in contact with Tom Southam, the direct sportif, and Scoynes was removed from the race, thank God. But it does raise the question, doesn't it, of instances where riders clearly are suffering from concussion, but allowed to continue. But thankfully, Tom Scoynes is okay now, and he did do this tweet from hospital, looking rather the worse for wear.
Yeah, get well soon, Tom. Now, the American Urological Association,
The
AUA, have just given cycling a clean bill of health.
That's good.
After 2 new studies with a total sample size of 6,700 men and women, spokesman from the AUA, Dr. Kevin McVeary, he said that men and women can benefit from the cardiovascular exercise of cycling without worrying about the negative side effects to their urinary tract or sexual performance. So that is very good news, actually, isn't it?
Well, there you go. Now, this next bit isn't linked at all, but Belgian time trial champion Victor Campenaerts of Lotto NL Jumbo basically asked somebody out on the start ramp of the Stage 10 individual time trial in the Giro, unzipped his skin suit and had it written on in pen on his chest. Quite an orthodox method of asking somebody out.
I saw something about him with marker pen all over his chest, and I just assumed he'd lost some kind of bet. But that's what happened.
No, it actually said Carlian Dayton, which I'm assuming is Flemish for asking Carlian out for a date.
And what did Carlian say?
Well, she agreed.
Really?
Yeah.
Hey, nice.
But sadly for Victor,
Oh.
the UCI slapped him with a 100 Swiss franc fine, and also for bringing the sport into disrepute.
God, it's going to be an expensive date, that.
I know.
And to be fair, actually, that's a bit harsh. I would have thought asking someone out, having them say yes, actually is probably positive for the image of cycling as a whole. If she'd said no, then fair enough, hit him with a fine.
Well, it clearly worked for her, didn't it? Without a doubt.
Absolutely, yeah.
Now, you might remember from a couple of weeks back, our pothole plant protest. Well, there's been another example of a rather peaceful, gentle protest. And this time, it's to try and stop cars from parking in bike lanes.
That's right. So the group Reasonable Rhode Island,
RRI.
that's right, stuck 72 toilet cleaning plungers to a white line. The idea being to create a segregated bike lane and point out and prevent car drivers from parking in an existing bike lane. And looked like they managed it as well. Genius. Stroke of genius.
I absolutely love that. And do you know what? If you've got any examples of other peaceful road protests, we'd love to see them because it's absolutely fantastic. Stick them in the comments.
Yeah, please do. Send them in. Tech of the Week and Zipp have launched 2 new wheel sets. First up, they've released the disc-specific version of their 454 NSW wheel. So that's the one which has got the so-called sawtooth rim profile, basically the bumpy one. It improves stability in crosswinds. And it's actually the first of the NSW line, the top of the range line, to have disc compatibility. So it's got a new cognition hub. So that's one with the super low drag axial free hub on there. And interestingly, Zipp have chosen to actually go for a spline disc mount and not their normal 6-bolt option.
Interesting, and I did actually notice that Alexander Kristoff of Katusha Alpecin was using one of those wheels
He was.
in the Amgen Tour of California last week.
Well, a pair of them, in fact.
Indeed.
His bike looked amazing.
It was a pretty pin.
Oh, I love it, yeah.
Well, next up from Zipp is a new wheel set called the 302, okay, which excitingly is a far more affordable affair. Now, it shares the same DNA with the classic Firecrest 303 rim. It's also made in Indianapolis, of course, and it has a brand new hub.
Yeah, it does. There will be 2 versions of that, won't there? There'll be the disc version and the rim brake version, and both of them are going to be clinchers.
New Zealander George Bennett of Lotto NL Jumbo took by far the biggest win of his career last week in the Tour of California with a superb ride primarily in the individual time trial where he wrestled the yellow jersey from leader Rafa Majka, who had won stage 2 to San Jose.
Yeah. Peter Sagan was at the Tour of California and was also at his flamboyant best, thank goodness. He took his 16th stage win at that race. Yeah, it's not bad for a week-long stage race, is it? And then also, Andrew Talansky, he took the Queen stage to Matt Baldy. And in doing so, he ended, finally, the 2-year, 4-month drought at World Tour level that Cannondale Drapac, his team, had been suffering.
Britain's John Diven impressed for Team Sky with his maiden victory in the individual time trial, but the other outstanding performance of the week was the double stage wins for Team Rallies, the US Continental teams. Evan Huffman, he won stages 4 and 7, and I think with those performances, it could see a return to him to World Tour level because he previously rode for Astana for a couple of years as well.
Yeah, particularly impressive winning from a breakaway twice, showing fantastic racecraft as well as horsepower. That is mighty impressive. You ready?
I am indeed.
Because it's time now for hack/bodge of the week. Some belters, as always, that you've been sending in using the hashtag GCNHack. The first one, Elisa Navarro, sent in this, spotted in Bogota, Colombia. What a frame pump. Look at that.
It's basically a track pump adhered to the frame with an inner tube.
Genius.
It seems to work though, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's not bad at all, actually. I like the look at that bike, full stop.
Oh, good stuff. Next up, yeah, indeed. What is it, hack or a bodge? Bodge.
It's a bodge, isn't
it?
Sorry,
bodge. Well, next up we have this from Scott Beck. Saw this sweet aero brake conversion at a bike rack today.
That's terrifying.
Oh my God.
That is terrifying, isn't it? And the trouble is, you see that more often than you should. Someone's front forks are on backwards.
All I can do is just look at that, with a worried look upon my brow.
Well, this one I really like, actually. This I thought was a genuine hack. So Andy Lawton sent it in using a packing staple to hold your chain together while you put a quick link on. So there we go. Like, often you can just get away with it if you just have your chain off and you stick it in the 11. But there you go. That's quite cool.
That is
pretty nice hack. Andy.
Yeah, very innovative and some real good lateral thinking there from Andy Lawton. Now next up we have this from K Chow, so K_Chow.
I like this one.
I came across this gem of a hack on the way home from work. Got to protect that carbon fork. Hashtag GCN hack. Couple of tennis balls sliced open, stuck on the forks. That's genius.
That is a genius
and
hack.
It's actually quite aesthetically pleasing to the eye as well.
Absolutely, yeah.
Looks really quite nice, doesn't it?
Yeah, and imagine, right, when you come back to unlock your bike, you take the front wheel out and then you can just kind of hit the handlebar and the whole front end would bounce up into your hand. You wouldn't even have to lift it up, you just bounce the balls. Like that. Genius. Right then, we've got this one. Triple chain rings are out of style, according to Martin Kosciusz. In with a quadruple. How does that even work? Who's got 4 chain rings?
I don't think he's got chain. I think he's got a block on the front.
Well,
he's got a 5-speed block and just taking one sprocket off.
Is 4 chain rings a thing?
Well, put it this way. I didn't know it was until now.
No. Thanks, Martin, for enlightening us there. That's it's probably a hack, actually, isn't it?
It's got to be a hack,
Monster gear range, yeah. Genuine hack.
And a very nice purple frame as
Absolutely.
well.
4 chain rings and a purple frame. What more can you ask for?
Yeah, please keep those hacks and bodges coming because we absolutely love them, especially me. I love them.
I love them too. We've had more hacks than bodges this week.
Yeah, definitely.
Good week. And do you know what's even better about it? Not one single chain keeper.
Ooh, hey.
Yeah.
Boom. I have to wait for a bit.
Sorry, Matt, I didn't realise what you did.
Fist bump fail.
Dad's not here.
Yeah, no, he's not here, is he? He's sunning himself somewhere in Italy.
Yeah.
Oh well.
It's time for GCN's wattage bazooka!
There have been a lot of bazookas going off this week in the world of cycling.
Oh, yeah.
Notably, a few of our own here in the Dolomites.
Little ones, little bazookas.
Just like cheeky little bazookas. But this week's Pro Wattage Bazooka goes to George Bennett of Lotto NL Jumbo for his long-range bazooka, 24 kilometres worth of bazooka in the individual time trial in the Tour of California, which saw him wrestle the yellow jersey from Rafa Majka. And he's only 58 kilograms.
That's pretty
sensational.
impressive.
That's a pretty impressive bazooka.
He must be one of those, they're really skinny little missiles.
I like the really thin, long ones.
Yeah, I remember them from Top Gun. Yeah. Right, okay, moving on to the GCN Viewer Wattage Bazooka, and this week we have one submitted by Jake Clapp for his mate Rhys Williams, who took his first ever victory in a British Army road race. According to Jake, a ahead of a seriously strong field. And we've even got this instant slow-mo replay where you can actually see him take the victory. Good lunge for the line, but it looks like he should have been sprinting further.
It's nearly a fail, wasn't it, from last week's show?
Well, he didn't put his hands up, at least.
He didn't know. At least he actually got it.
Yeah, anyway, cracking effort, Reese. Fantastic.
Keep the bazookas coming, yeah?
More wattage bazookas next week.
Definitely. Time now for caption of the week. Last week's photo was a picture of the rather unfortunate Valerio Conti lying on the ground in a rather strange position. And the best caption is from Lachlan Matthew, who says, "Check this one out, guys. I call it the worm." Pretty good, that.
I like that. I like that very much. You have won yourself a GCN Camelback water bottle, of which we have none to hand here. Actually, we have white wine, we've got beer, we've got tea, and no GCN bottles. So apologies for that, but nevertheless, get in touch on Facebook, and we will send you one out. This week's caption photo is this one, taken from this week's shoot. You may not know what's going on, but you can probably guess. Shall I get started?
Yeah, you get it started. Go on, so go for it.
All right. Matt Stevens wasn't quite sure what to expect when Simon Richardson's biceps were pressed into service for the first time this year.
That was one of the longest captions I've ever heard.
I know, it's rubbish as well.
It wasn't too bad, mate.
Sorry.
You know, hopefully you've set the bar quite low. You should be able to beat that one.
There's a Camelback water bottle up for grabs anyway. Stick your caption in the comment section down below, rather, and you could potentially win.
Look at your hair. It is like Jedward in that photo, isn't it? It's amazing. It's higher than the mountains.
They're going to roll with Jedward now, Matt. As always, you've been leaving some fantastic, some humorous, some insightful comments under the videos on the channel this week. Here are 3 of our favourites.
Yeah, the first up is this from James Nicholas, under 9 incredible roads to ride. James says, the increased VO2 max due to your haute route training has already added an extra sparkle to your already dulcet tones, John. What a lovely thing to say.
Very nice.
Great vid and time to dust off the passports, I think. I think that's a compliment there, isn't it?
It is definitely a compliment.
Yeah, cheers for that, James.
It was a cracking vid as well, actually. Under 4 tips to enjoy a sportif, I like this one from Artil. Loved the end of this video. Matt's belly laughs always get me smiling. To which a DFTA replied, he really let rip with that one. I nearly fell out of my chair.
You can do so by clicking on your globe. On your globe!
I know how you feel, DFTA, there. Sometimes it does take us by surprise. And, you know,
it sometimes takes me by surprise, to be honest with you. Lotto NL Jumbo's New Zealand climbing sensation. Forgot his name. Name. Oh no! Sorry, George. Do that again. And finally, under should you jet wash your bike, which is doing very, very well, isn't it? A cracking video that one is.
Yeah. A lot of debate going on in those comments there.
What a thumbnail though. You look delighted, don't you? Or frightened. One of the two. I don't know. Anyway, this comment from Gordon McKenzie. Why would you ever need to wash your bike? Here in the Bahamas, a baby wipe on the frame does the job. Fair play, Gordon.
Thanks for rubbing that one in, Gordon.
Yeah, cheers.
Yep.
On the channel this week, on Wednesday, there's a video entitled How to Do a Recovery Ride. How did you blag that?
And there are other benefits to recovery rides as well, in terms of improved cognitive function, also an increased resistance to muscle tissue damage and better fat metabolism as well. Yeah, I thought you'd like that bit. So yeah, if you do recovery rides, it should teach your body to prefer fat as its fuel source, especially if the riding that you do in between is generally of quite a high intensity.
Anyway, it's a double header because there's also how to restart on a climb.
Yeah.
On Thursday, it's the top 5 ways to improve your time in a sportif.
One way in which you can drastically reduce the time taken to complete a sportif is by not stopping at every single feed station. Yes, it is crucially important that you consume enough calories and drink enough to get yourself round, but you should be able to do this without continuously stopping.
Yeah, Roddy!
Might see him again today.
And on Friday, it's Ask GC Anything.
Yeah, Saturday, Sam Bennett, the Irish Sprint Sensations Pro Bike, is under scrutiny. Then on Sunday, it's a big one. We've got a classic feature, road bike versus e-bike.
It's epic, isn't it? It's widescreen.
We had a lot of fun filming that this week, didn't we? It was banging. And then Monday, it is Maintenance Monday. We're back in the workshop. enough of Matt soaping his clothes in the shower. I don't think anyone
back
needs
to
to see
normal
that
again. Normal service is resumed, thankfully.
Yeah.
And then I believe it's
Tuesday.
229. That's the 229th GCN show.
Wow. The 229th anniversary of the GCN show.
We get cake, do you think? Might get some cake for that.
Yeah, I think we deserve cake for the
229th.
229th.
Yeah.
Maybe some cookies.
And now it's time for Extreme Corner.
That's definitely not the lamest intro
Yeah,
you've ever done, mate.
it's not the best.
Anyway, coming up, we've got more action from Alta Badia.
We have.
This time, it's just getting extreme, isn't it?
It's super extreme. This is the best.
Gnarly. That was quite cool, that thing.
I thought that was all right.
Yeah. Well, there we go. That was mildly extreme,
That
wasn't
was relatively extreme,
it?
indeed.
Yeah, nice. It's good fun, that.
I believe I've just had a call.
Oh, yeah?
Lass got a few words to say from the shop.
Yeah.
Thanks guys. This week in the shop we've got a few new and very cool items. We have got this. This is the Camelback Eddy, GCN, red. Good one for your bag on the way to work. This is another GCN Camelback bottle, evidently. This one is smoke, slightly bigger than one of our standard clear bottles. Good size for a long ride. We also have, this is the third of 4 new bottles. This is the GCN bottle with the black top. And, let me just hop over here. Smoothly set up. Not this, but we have the GCN bottle with a red top in that size. Don't forget to check out the shop. Links are down in the description as always.
Well, that unfortunately brings us to the end of the GCN show for this week. Firstly though, before we go, give it a thumbs up for the amazing view and location that we've got today. That is absolutely brilliant, isn't it?
It's beautiful.
Yeah, and then also please make sure you subscribe to GCN. To do that, just click on the globe.
And for a video that we shot here in Alta Badia, how about clicking just down here for how to ride at altitude?
Yeah, or to see the first ever Maintenance Monday video filmed wearing pants. Thanks, Matt.
Groundbreaking stuff.
Click just down there.
Yeah, if you want.
Yeah. It's not a pants video, actually. It's good.
Thanks.